Hello guys, in this tutorial we are trying to write tests for the validation of an endpoint. Let's say we have an endpoint, we have a controller class as you can see, and we have a store article method or action, and in this store article we are accepting a request and we are validating the request. We are using a constraint here, which is the validation rules, and we are validate the request against the constraint which we are defining here. As you can see here, we are defining title should be required, the minimum length should be 25 characters, and the content should be required, and also the minimum length should be 50 characters. And then we receive the violation after the validate. We're receiving the responses, and we can iterate over the responses or the violations, as you can see here, and to get the message and the property from that message to build our response and then return our response. Otherwise, we return success with all the request. So maybe you ask yourself, what is request or what is validation? I'm actually using Symfony packages, as you can see here in Composer.json. Symfony HTTP Foundation and Symfony Validator is two packages that I'm using to write this actually test. So okay, the first thing we want to do now is to create a class. I will call it, I need to create, first of all, I need to create a folder. So the folder name is controllers, and in this controllers, I need to create a class calling article test. Okay, and this article test should extend test case class. Well, every test should extend the test case class from PHPUnit. So the scenarios that I want to write is test if title is required. This is the first scenario. The second scenario is test if content is required. The third scenario is test if title length, if title minimum length is less or equal to 25 characters. Then test if content minimum length is less or equal to 50 characters. And we have another scenario which is test if all goes well. Yeah, something like this. So the first test, okay, I need to also tell you this. I'm using a convention for my testing. So when I want to write a test, I use this convention. I use the test method plus the method name that I'm writing test for it, plus expectation, plus the request that we are trying to test. So it should be something like this: public function test, the method name is store article should throw an error if title was missing. Okay, this is the first test scenario that we're writing. So how we can start this test is by creating a new instance of the article controller. So we say article controller equal new article controller, and then we are calling store article. From this we need to pass a request to it, so I will define the request. Okay, and then pass the request to it. But what we are testing if the title is missing. So the content is not missing, so we need to fill the content. So request set content and random bytes. I'm generating a random string, so random byte, let's say 60 characters, and then using Bing to hex to convert this binary to hexadecimal, and then we're passing it to the store article. So what we are expecting here, we are expecting a JSON response and with a status of 400. So the first thing, I'm asserting JSON. So assert JSON string is equal JSON string. the first, the first parameter is, the first argument, as you can see here, assertJSON string expected JSON. Expected JSON. Okay, what I'm expecting this. I'm expecting title. This field is missing. Something like this. And the response, get content. I need to basically to have the actual JSON. The actual JSON is getting from the get content. But we can't compare array to JSON string, so we need to JSON encode this. So JSON encode this. So let's run the test and let's see if we have any. Okay, it works fine, it works good. Good to know that. Also, I can show you what really we have in the content of the response. You can see title, this field is missing, this field is missing. So there is one more thing that we want to assert, which is status code of the response. So we want to say assert equals 400 bad requests, response get status code. And this should also, as you can see, we have 4 assertion and 1 test. Okay, so we have wrote our first test scenarios. We can now jump to the second test scenarios, which is checking if the content is missing. So throw an error if content was missing. So if content was missing, so here we need to send no content. I mean, we should not send any content, so we only send the title. We send only the title, and here we should expect that the content field should be missing. So if you run it again, cool. So we have wrote 2 scenarios. The third scenario is that test store article should throw an error if content length is less than expectation. So in this case, we need to send both content and title, but the content length should be less than the expectation. It should be 50 characters. Now I'm passing 10 characters. So here it should throw an error because the message is, it should be this. The message should be this one. The value is too short. It should have 50 characters or more. Exactly. So if we run it again, cool. Now we have wrote the third scenario. We can now write the fourth scenario. So this one should be for the title. If title length is less than the expectation. So let's say here we are passing 50 character, but for the title we are passing, I don't know, 5 character, let's say. So here we need to only change the key, and here also we need to change 25 character. So yeah, as you can see, if I run this test separately, you can see it works fine. So as you can see, we are passing title and content, but we are passing title with less than the expectation. So I'm sending only 5 character, but it should be 25 character. So when I'm sending 5 character, then it's thrown error, and the error, it should be like something like this. Okay, so we wrote our fourth scenario. We need to now write our fifth scenario, which in this case is everything if works fine. So test store article should return success, let's say, if all goes well. Yeah, something like this. So you're passing 50-50 for both of them. There is nothing as an error. We are expecting 200, and if we do it, as you can see, no, sorry, this is wrong. We need to run it like this. As you can see, we have 5 tests, we have 17 assertion, we have wrote all the scenarios, and we have covered all of the test scenarios in this basically store article method. I hope you enjoy this article. I hope you enjoy this tutorial. I will basically refactor this code, make it prettier, and we gonna work on this basically test more in the next tutorials. So enjoy and hope to see you next time.